The Division is the next big thing. Again, just like Destiny, the next big thing, and Titanfall, the next big thing. As Call of Duty has fallen from all-encompassing juggernaut to just a really big franchise, new games have been trying to claim the title of the next big thing. Fortunately, as gaming has become more popular, the size of its audience has grown, which has now gotten to the point that many different types of games can be considered successful. I think we are past the days of Call of Duty being the king of first-person shooters, and Minecraft being the king of survival games. And now games can try something new, instead of pandering to trends like we saw in the last generation of gaming. Every game had to have a multiplayer, every game had to be a first-person shooter, every game had to be an action-packed blockbuster, but now that mentality is waning. So instead, we have many successful games in different genres, and here comes The Division to break into the third-person MMO-like cover-based shooting market. This game has been pretty hyped since its reveal, but not like overhyped like Watch Dogs, just a simple, oh, that looks cool, I hope it's good kind of hype. Honestly, Watch Dogs was probably the main reason this game's expectations were a little more in check. We ain't falling for that again. So the week The Division came out, it broke a whole bunch of Ubisoft records, most players in the beta, biggest sales of a Ubisoft title ever, so clearly this game has a lot of people excited, and that's even more surprising being a new IP. So what is it that people see in The Division that makes it stand out from its competition? Here's what I think. Number 1, setting. First and most noticeably is The Division's setting, New York. A lot of people say graphics don't matter, but with a first impression, that is the first thing you will see, and The Division stands out right away. Sure, you can compare it to the reveal trailer all day long and pick out the differences, but where does that get you really? The game looks good as it is, but where the game really shines is in its detail. Now, the setting of The Division is something we don't see very often in games, a realistic depiction of a real city, but not just a city, a post-apocalyptic kind of city. I instantly respect the developers of this game because you can see the amount of time that went into the game's environments. A lot of games are set in environments that are easy to make feel unique. For example, Far Cry's island and outdoor environments, Just Cause 3's sprawling wilderness with a city here and there. I'm not knocking the work that clearly went into these games, but they are easier to produce because of the nature of, well, nature. Making trees and grass feel unique is a hell of a lot easier than making a city environment that doesn't feel repetitive. Many open-world games will have a lot of copy-and-paste environments. Just look at the Assassin's Creed franchise. When one has to come out every year, yeah, you're going to have to reuse a lot of assets. The Division surprisingly feels unique on every street. Areas are littered in every corner with junk, trash, cars, papers blowing in the wind, interior environments, alleyways, there's more. This world feels lived in and then wrecked, and that's impressive. Even more so considering each environment also provides the right amount of cover for an engaging fight. These types of worlds are the ones I like to explore. Many people know I'm not a huge fan of GTA 5, and that's because, sure, it's an impressively made world, but it's also the world that's right outside my door. When I explore an open world, I want something out of the norm, which is why I like Red Dead Redemption a bit more. I get teleported to a new and different world, and that's what The Division does for me. The same detail carries over to the game's indoor environments as well, packing in even more stuff to fly around during firefights. This interaction just adds to the immersion in firefights and makes things feel more intense, which is also helped by Number 2, cover system and movement. I compare the design of this game a lot to Destiny, and I mean in its structure. It's kind of an MMO that has missions you complete with friends and gather loot, working towards getting better and better stuff. In the late game, I'm sure players will replay missions over and over to get points and buy new stuff. Now, while Destiny did sell well and definitely has its fans, I think the overall reception to Destiny was so with The Division being so similar to Destiny in its design, why do I think it will be different? Because of its great cover system, movement, and third-person action. Destiny had a good set of core mechanics, but they were the most played out and generic mechanics around, a first-person shooter. First-person shooters have been done to death, and I think people are sick of every game having to be an FPS. So, even if it's a really good FPS, it's still fighting an uphill battle. The Division, on the other hand, is pretty unique. Sure, it's about shooting, but it's also about using cover and implements a very unique cover system that I've only seen in the last Splinter Cell Blacklist. Being able to move from cover to cover really encourages players to move around strategically, and for me, to play stealthy. Before engaging a group of enemies, I will always try to sneak up as close as possible to get the best vantage point. And during battles, moving tactically and carefully around the environment keeps you engaged, especially working with friends to come up with a plan, instead of just running in and shooting everything until it's dead. This tactical movement is also made possible by another standout feature for most modern shooters. Number 3, bullet sponge enemies. Yeah, really. Now I hear over and over again when this game comes up, ugh, bullet sponge enemies, this is garbage, but why? This is another key reason why The Division stands out. All that cover system and tactical movement would be pointless if this game was designed like every other modern shooter. I made a cartoon a long time ago about how modern shooters come down to one thing: seeing the other person first. That's it.
When you come to a corner, you have 2, maybe 3 choices. You can go left, right, or forward. If you go left, then you have to get lucky that no one is to your right. If you go to the right, well then you have to get lucky on your left. And if there is a guy in front of you, well then you're already fucking dead.
In a lot of modern military shooters, you die in a few hits, leaving no time for someone to fight back. It comes down to whoever runs behind the other person first. Sure, you can minimize the chances of someone sneaking up on you, but if they do, you're dead. Not saying these games are bad, but it is the way a lot of them are designed. Now comes The Division, which changes up the formula a bit. If an enemy gets the jump on you here, you have a chance to run away, take cover. Sure, you're at a disadvantage at this point, and the odds aren't in your favor, but you still have a chance to fight back. Because you don't die instantly, conflicts can take place over a longer period of time. Trying to outmaneuver your opponent or frantically get away as you're being hunted can be exhilarating. Sure, it might lack the instant gratification you get from other games, but in the end you feel so much more engaged, and that feels unique in the industry today. But what is an interesting combat system without someone to fight? Number 4, multiplayer Dark Zone. On top of the game's unique setting, cover system, and bullet sponges, it also has a very interesting take on multiplayer. In the game, there is an area called the Dark Zone, which is basically the game's multiplayer area. It's a huge walled-off section of the map built right into the rest of the game, so no lobbies or servers. Instead, it's just an area that you enter and leave as part of the world, and that makes it feel pretty seamless. Once you go inside, it doesn't just turn into a random team deathmatch or something, but instead it functions with some kind of strange honor system. Basically, everyone is neutral, they aren't fighting each other, and can actually work together to fight enemy AI and other players. You can go in with friends, but some of the most interesting moments I've had are with random people I saw needed help. I ran in and started fighting the AI with them because it looked like they were going to get overrun. At one point I actually went down, and that random guy saw I was helping and revived me so we could finish the fight. At the end we exchanged a friendly salute and went our separate ways. This random interaction is great and feels like something out of a survival game like DayZ or Rust, where players can meet up, but you have to be cautious and decide if you can trust the other player. That's because other players can also turn on you, and you can turn on them. Sure, you can earn more stuff faster that way, but it is a lot harder fighting off everyone else. It creates this whole risk versus reward system that is really interesting to see in a shooter like this, and really makes the game stand out for me. I'm focusing mainly on what makes this game different from others, so I'm sure there are issues with the game, like every game, but so far I'm having a good time. These standout features might not be something you're into, and that's fine, but you can't deny that they make The Division stand out. What do you guys think about The Division? Are these standout features welcome changes in the game industry, or are they not for you? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the show, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.